Welcome back. Forum Daily's weekly energy update with Dan McTeague is up next. Dan McTeague is the senior petroleum analyst at gaswizard.ca, and he joins us now. Welcome back, Dan.
Well, thanks again for that, Nima. That was quite a week we've seen. I think it came off a little different than I had expected. It was sort of increase in energy prices delayed. I had left our last meeting with the idea that it would be about a 3 to 4 cent increase this week. It looks like a couple of factors may have interfered with that increase of oil prices. In fact, they went from 92.5, $92.50 a barrel, all the way down to about $88 a barrel, only to come right back up today, back to 91.5. What's really happening here is that a couple of things that analysts are looking at. One, they are nervous about the rate of inflation in the United States. But they're also looking at the possibility of the United States removing sanctions on Iran, which would allow Iran theoretically to produce more oil. Of course, we're talking about sanctions that were done because Iran very much threatened to destabilize the world with its building of nuclear facilities and fissile material. We also know that this was a week where some had assumed, and I think perhaps incorrectly so, that OPEC would suddenly be able to provide a lot more oil to the world. Of course, it continues to fall behind in that regard. And then the issue of the tensions, the geopolitical tensions between Russia and its threat to Eastern Europe seem to have fallen off the table. It's back on today with a vengeance. And I think as we get closer to the end of the Beijing Olympics, probably about a week away, we'll probably be in a far more dangerous zone, and that is likely to be extraordinarily bullish for oil prices and in turn drive up the price that we pay at the pumps, not just for gasoline, but also for diesel. Now, across the country, there are still records being broken. Newfoundland saw $1.72.9, again, 14 cents above what it had seen in November as its highest price. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, all pushing in the $1.58, 57 range. And of course, Quebec is still holding at about $1.68 a liter. If you look here in Toronto, $1.57, $1.56 a liter. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta from $1.43 in places like Edmonton at the high end, all the way up to $1.49 in Winnipeg. The BC interior, very expensive, depending on where you are. As much as $1.63. If I look in Kamloops very recently, prices had really risen there. Some of that due to the Trans Mountain Pipeline, not 100% back up. And of course, the fact that British Columbia has not just one, but two carbon taxes, the hidden one called the Clean Fuel Standard that a lot of people tend to think is just the oil companies taking advantage of consumers. Well, in fact, it's the government helping itself to green organizations that are doing very well in the carbon credit market in that province. British Columbia, its highest prices, of course, are still in Vancouver at $1.73 and $1.65 over there in Victoria. What we're looking at, Nima, over the next week or so is a market that is likely to see that surge that I had suggested of about 3 to 4 cents a liter. We are going to see a $100 a barrel oil, but it really does suggest that this is really a time where we don't normally see these prices increase as dramatically as they are. A lot of refiners are going to be going into what's called springtime maintenance, getting ready for that springtime demand, as if the demand isn't high enough. And that will mean less production. It'll mean higher prices as demand surges in this post-pandemic period. It also suggests that this is the absolute wrong time for the federal Liberal government to increase the carbon taxes and increase the burden on Canadians who are struggling through a very cold winter, especially when it comes to home heating fuel, which, as I've mentioned earlier, like gasoline, is shooting through the roof, with places like New England in the United States burning more oil to produce more electricity, burning more natural gas, as we're seeing here in Ontario, to produce electricity. All this really means is that we're heading to a time where the federal government really needs to think about a moratorium on increasing carbon taxes and do something that I did as a member of parliament, not once, but twice. Maybe rebate some of that HST, GST. Every province charges that, but as the price has gone from an average of $1.12 to $1.60, it looks like the federal and provincial governments are in for a massive windfall of several, and I say $2, perhaps $3 billion. That's money that does not belong to them. That's money that belongs to consumers. We really care about Canadians. If we really want to find our footing, perhaps remit that to Canadians and end this idea of increasing this inflationary burden on Canadians. Well, Nima, that's my report for this week. Look forward to more prices, and we're not out of this by any stretch. 2022 will continue to be very expensive for Canadians, led by no less than high prices of gasoline and diesel. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks for that, Dan. As usual, lots to consider. That was Dan McTeague, Senior Petroleum Analyst at gaswizard.ca.